we're constantly having to call people, the candidates, and get them to bring more signs down. And for example, Dr. Freeman over there, we've been unable to keep his signs in there. We got, they told me the other day that he was completely out. We had 2 today, we've got 1 left. So, and then Ty Barrett, running for sheriff of Lauderdale County, I see about probably 3 over there. But I have no idea how many signs have gone out here. I personally have been responsible for taking a lot of these signs out and putting them up. But we've had a lot of people come in here and ask for the signs too. They have been doing, he says they have been doing phone banking there, so, but I have not. And I have a list right now of calls. I'm helping Dr. Freeman. I'm making phone calls for Dr. Freeman. I've got a list right now that I've still got to do of about 100 that I've got left to do. 100? Yeah. So because I started out with 100 of the pamphlets, and so I would say that I've knocked on 100 doors, and I know several friends of mine who have knocked on more than that. I live in a rural area, so it's not as easy to. I mean, it's not like you've got them stacked up. I mean, when you live out in the country, you may have a half a mile between the houses. I've seen more young people taking part in this campaign than any campaign yet before, and I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged. But the young people, when you talk to the young people now, they one of the first things they tell you is they have young children and they're concerned about the direction we're going, and they'll tell me I've got to be concerned now for my children. That's the attitude of most of the young people I'm talking to. They had the kickoff rally for Mo Brooks was here, and several of the other candidates, and Marsha Blackburn came down here, and they've had several people. She's an interesting lady. I talked to her one-on-one for a while. She was an interesting lady, I thought. I'm impressed with Marsha Blackburn. I think she, along with several other prominent women, are going to start playing a major role in this country. There's also a mood now, and he is benefiting from that mood, I think. It's an anti-incumbent mood, and I think because, you know, the guy that he defeated in the primaries is an incumbent, but he switched parties, you know. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But you're right, Mo has been extremely active. I think he's a true conservative. That's what I'm looking for. He is pro-life. He's for lower taxes, reducing the size of government. Mo fits into that mold. I agree with Mo just practically down the line. I'm voting for Robert Bentley as a second choice, really. I was for Byrne. Actually, I think the Democrats screwed that one up because there was a lot of crossover in the runoff. A lot of Democrats voted in the runoff because they thought Bentley was the weaker candidate, and that way they could promote Sparks. But there was a lot of crossover. I know I've heard people tell stories about the AEA especially coming up here and running a campaign to get people to vote, during the runoff, to get people to vote for Bentley. So they're Democrats. Lynn Greer is in my, I've talked to Lynn several times. Lynn's come spoken to our groups, and I like him for State House. I like Dr. Freeman for the State Senate. The reason I like Dr. Freeman is because I've had conversations with Dr. Freeman, and Dr. Freeman, I believe in what he says. He's a Christian man, and he's pro-life, and that's someone told me several years ago that you can usually ask one question of a candidate, and if he answers that question correctly, he'll fall in line with you on most everything else. And that question is, are you pro-abortion or are you against abortion? When I find somebody that is against abortion, pro-life, then he usually falls in line with everything else. I usually agree with him probably 90% of the time. Dr. Freeman is that type of person. Well, I'll say this about Ty Barrett for sure. I like him. I've talked with him too, and he is extremely qualified, and I think that he's a younger man, and I think he would make a good sheriff. I just like him. I don't know as much about him as I know about some of the others, but I've only met Ty the one time, and Dr. Freeman and Lynn Greer and people like that. I've met and talked to several times. This area was almost pro-union during the Civil War. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that? Do you know anything about going back that far? But there was a lot of union sentiment here during the Civil War. And you would think that because of the union sentiment that you would have had probably some Republican carryover at that time, from that time forward, but you didn't, and I don't know what the problem is, but you have local candidates. I've known candidates personally in several elections that I would not vote for, that I'm friends with, because they run as Democrats. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am a Republican. I am extremely conservative. I vote Republican because they are the most conservative. Having said that, there are some people who I've known over the years that I would not vote for simply because they were running on the Democrat ticket. Yet they will tell you, well, that's the only way you can get elected in Lauderdale County. But I think that's changing now.